important thing to say. I got something important.
We're live.
The what?
Casual Racism
Why you gotta
Podcast,
say it like
Season
that?
2, Episode 2 is up.
Nah, we're live. What's up, guys? Season 2. Oh, yeah. I don't remember Season 1 ever being really official, but listen, Season 2 is going to be big. It's going to be bad. It's going to be better. It's going to be great.
Yeah, in the
Honestly.
second episode, you already started after all the conversation was done. Good
Shut
job.
up.
Let's just go back over the points. Basically, we're talking about screw
You know what?
the
Hold
seven
up. New
statues and
point,
all
new
that good
point,
stuff. That's talked about enough.
new point.
The YouTube Kids thing, we're just getting into that, though.
No, how
That
about
needs to be
this?
talked about.
Let's talk about, let's go on a little roadmap what we're going to talk about. We'll go off with the YouTube Kids, right? Then we'll go off about censorship, and then we're going to finish it off with Hillary's new book, What Happened.
No,
We'll talk
rather than
about
last
that a
one.
little bit. All right, so the YouTube Kids. I don't know if you guys have heard about it or not. It's not really talked about, probably due to YouTube because as you know, they meddle in what's seen and what's not seen. Sometimes outright removing it. But despite that, there are actually some videos that address this issue. That's actually how I got in touch to it because before I just ignored those videos like I'm sure all of us do. It's not for us. We don't really care about them. We think they're stupid. But this video actually brought some valid points to my attention as to what these videos actually do to the kids, what their focus is, what they actually like accomplish. Just the content in general is just really suspect. Like as I was telling Mike before he started rolling or whatever, the scenarios that are put into the videos, it'll be like you're watching it or your kid is watching it. You happen to look over his shoulder and you notice that he's supposed to just be watching like a toy review or something, some stupid like that. You don't care.
And also,
You're,
it's
you're
covered
focused
in
on something
friggin'
else.
period blood.
Next thing you know, it's like Elsa's all bloodied up. She's tied up. Looks like something not kid friendly has occurred here. You're like, what in the world is happening? There seems to be like a kidnap hostage situation or something like that. And then it just pans to like a bunch of other like kids, like the kids that the parents who make these videos. Well, I'm sure actually don't want to be in them. That's a whole nother thing though, like forcing your kids to get you views on YouTube. Then next thing you know, you have them tied up, and they're getting like chocolate sauce or whipped cream or something like that sprayed all over them to like falsify blood. But then you're thinking fake blood is a thing because so and so is already covered in it, obviously. So why is there a need to spray whipped cream or any of these condiments onto like that's just sus. I don't understand
Well,
why there's a need for
that's
that.
a bit extreme to just spray fake blood over a kid. On a
That's
fucking
yeah, that's
toy,
still
it's a bit
extreme,
different.
especially to like have a kid watch it as well.
Yeah,
And then half
but
of these toy reviews barely even review toys. They're like just like weird adults dressed up as like mainstream Disney characters and such. And that
and
that
I
gives
would
them
know
plot shield
because
armor just doing things.
I have currently one little sister in the same situation. Had one little sister in the situation.
And I'm
I
sure
would
you've
look at
seen this
like, cause
stuff
like
on the screen.
yeah, it's so like, cause she'd use my YouTube account and it's all this shit of history and like I look at some of these titles are ridiculous too. I couldn't tell you any because I don't remember, but
They're
it's
outlandish.
it's weird.
They're like dark side of YouTube type random, but nobody cares because the kids watch it and they don't actually like watch them or anything, so they
They
don't
don't
really
understand,
mind
right?
whatever it
Yeah.
is.
You know,
Exactly. But when you actually read the names of these things, they're eerily similar. Correct me if I'm wrong. To like those dark side of YouTube type video titles, like you know what I'm talking about, like "Don't Hug Me, I'm
Yeah.
Scared" or something like that. Like those type of
Yeah,
titles.
crazy shit
Except
like that.
yeah, it's like, well, I mean, what in the world is this? And then you sit there and wonder, well, my kid's watching this, and that's bad. And that's good. You know what your kid's watching now. You know that's not the best. But then you also got to think about, well, if there's aspects of grooming and all that in the video, if you know what grooming is or you don't know what it is, just
Nah.
like you groom a child for like molestation or like just to mess with them basically. Like you groom them so they think it's okay so they don't tell people. Stuff like that. It's nothing good. Nothing good comes out of it. You're grooming them for bad things. But there's aspects of that, like basically like spraying whipped cream on their face or something like that in a chill setting, so that when you actually do something onto their face or whatever, they don't really mind it because they're so used to it.
it's not whipped
Things like
cream,
that.
but it's what?
You wonder, they're sitting here trying to get my kid to watch this. They also have kids who they're showcasing in these videos. So am I actually watching a child being groomed as like my child is being groomed through the screen? Like how is that child's life as they're getting raised by the people who are doing such things?
Huh.
Like what are they going through? What
Probably
am I
very
actually
catered
watching
and anything.
right now? Like what's actually happening on this screen?
I might as
And
well
by
cater them
viewing
to
this
thinking that it's
video,
okay to be fucked by their father. I don't know.
and by viewing this video and having my like all these kids mindlessly watch them and just stack the views up, am I helping the process along? Like, am I funding them with more money to do more of this?
Weird.
It's wrong. Sure, there's
Like,
some channels that actually are legitimate. You know, they're doing toy reviews and stuff like that. Nothing wrong with that. I hear some of them are actually pretty good. Great. But when it gets to these that are obviously like really outlandish and just what is this? This isn't right. Should they be getting the views, the amount of views that they're getting? Because they're getting quite a bit. Like they really are. And is viewing these videos like messing a child's life up? Like, is this child going through things that a child shouldn't be going through because you're giving these horrible people funding by watching their videos, basically encouraging them to keep going? Like, yeah, think about that.
Have you ever thought about how weird kid shows are in general? Like when I was a kid, I remember, like I watched Chowder, The Amazing Adventures of
Yeah,
Flapjack, you know.
we grew up on some weird stuff.
Yeah, like when I and now here I
Had a lot
am,
of nightmare fuel.
50-year-old Hugh. I watch Teen Titans Go. I'm like, oh wow, they're just full out making out. And then I sit down and I think, wait a second. My childhood wasn't really that nice too when it came to the cartoons.
I remember watching Courage the Cowardly Dog
Yeah,
and
that shit
Flapjack and all
was.
that. Those are like some of my favorite shows. Some
Yeah.
of those episodes actually really messed me up. Like they really had some crazy nightmare fuel stuff in those shows. And even nowadays, SpongeBob does it as well.
I mean,
But
the
like
only normal one was
just
Ben
those
10.
yeah,
Only.
Ben 10 was really normal. That's why it was so successful though. But like, what's up with these random nightmare fuel, like really disturbing things in shows?
Why
Like
do.
this is a kid's show. What runs through the creator or the director or the producer's mind to put something like that into a
I,
kid's show?
Like
That doesn't make
Misadventures
any
of
sense in the
Flapjack.
long run. Had a lot of it.
Yeah, that was a
A lot
fucked
of
up show.
grotesque imagery.
And then
And
you
Courage the
think about
Cowardly
it,
Dog just generally had a lot of
and
just
here's the other
straight up
thing. Everyone talks
terrifying
about the
things.
golden age of Cartoon Network, but let's be real. It was some pretty weird shit.
It
I
really was.
honestly couldn't tell you what I watched as a kid besides like SpongeBob or something. That's
SpongeBob was
really
weird
it.
in its own right.
SpongeBob was weird.
Nowhere
But
near his
but
other
get
things
this.
though.
Get this. Creepypastas aside and all that, Candle Cove is a good example. If you watch the show, I mean, it was alright, whatever. That's not the point. The whole premise of it is like kids watching a show that's aired and it's like affecting their minds or such. Think about how like what Candle Cove was actually about. It was like this girl adventuring with pirates, like make believe pirates or something like that. You know, they would just do things, but the certain things in there, like the way the dolls that were the pirates were made, the actual themes of it, like how one of them was called the Skin Taker, and his hat or his clothes or whatever were made of skin. Just things like that are like ridiculous. Like you would expect horror movie or horror novel people to like come up with stuff like that is just in a kids show. Then you think about how they for Flapjack for instance
Oh,
isn't actually too far from that. It's like a legitimate Candle Cove, but just not like
Flapjack's
straight up
almost
just creepy
worse.
pasta, basically. So if you're gonna sit there and say, "Oh, that's just a stupid creepy pasta that doesn't sound legit anyway," blah blah blah, you gotta think about the fact that there actually were shows that we watched as kids that had
Cat and Dog.
eerily similar undercurrents that were very
I
similar to these
that
things.
was Cat and Dog was something else. That was
And
something
Dog was
else.
something.
What was that show? It
Whatever
had.
that
Ron
other
and
thing, Ren and
Stumpy.
Stimpy or something like that.
Yeah, yeah,
Or
that's
yeah,
what I was
yeah,
gonna say.
yeah.
That's
Hmm.
also
My
messed up.
mom watched that a lot. Yeah, that was. I remember I watched a couple episodes of that, like on
Everyone's seen the
Boomerang.
fucking gif of the dude actually fucking the dude basically.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Dude has a saw between his legs and starts sawing the dude's ass because there's a log on it. It's not even subtle in any way.
No. Or the thing, or the bit where they were like a bunch of obvious, like stereotypical lesbian bikers that just ran into their house and started eating the carpet.
Remember the
Ha
time
ha ha.
the mayor got sucked off in Powerpuff Girls?
Yeah.
No, he wasn't sucked off. Wasn't it like he got his pencil sharpened?
There's a lot of crazy. The mayor was an interesting character in Powerpuff Girls. Pretty sure
I mean,
Secretary
The
was
new
sometimes,
sitting in
Powerpuff Girls has
flowers,
twerking
stuff
in
sometimes,
it.
like that.
I think more times than not,
Exactly.
the jokes are thrown in there for the adults.
For the adults, yeah. They're
SpongeBob
not
is
actually
like
geared towards the
first
kids.
year
But then
SpongeBob's a great example.
the thing is, like, when it actually does hit the kids, it just drops subliminal messages and stuff, or like things in their minds. Cause kid minds are very susceptible to molding and such.
Of course, that's how it works.
Exactly. And when you think about that, you think about how is this actually affecting my kid? Like, haha, yeah, it's a funny joke for me. But my son's sitting here watching this dude with a saw between his legs saw through somebody's log butt.
Oh no.
Not only is that like funny for the adults because they understand what the joke is, but this kid doesn't actually really know what's happening. So he's just sitting here watching theoretically somebody's butt get sawed with an actual saw. He doesn't get the sex joke aspect of it. To him, it's
And then you
probably
walk
quite
in and mommy
alarming.
and
Like,
daddy
what in the
fucking late
world?
at night, and then you try it out with some girl in school, and now you're like fucking
Not even that. It's just like it just
5-year-old
messes
sex
your head
offender.
up. Like, what in the world is going on? This man has a saw between his legs, sawing someone, and it's like funny or
Yeah,
it's cool or whatever.
Could
That's
never guess
crazy.
the context of that.
Exactly. Like, if you're a kid who hasn't tuned into things like that yet, you have no idea what's happening. Your parents
Even
think
at
it's
this age,
funny.
I could
They
never
think it's
even guess what
fine.
the context of that gift even would be,
No,
and why
like
it's
that's
saw
just
between his,
really
why he has a saw
crazy
dick,
out
and
there.
why he has a log ass.
That sounds like
I,
freaking fetishy. Like what?
If I
There's
told you
no
right now
subtler
that you could
way to do
watch
that.
some weird deformed animal thing with a saw dick saw off a log from another weird deformed animal butt,
plus,
you think that's porn.
that show is just
You would think that was like
really
dark web
like
weird
it's
porn
really
or something.
disturbing to look at the characters. Like
It
they're
is. It's
disgusting.
disturbing
That
in
was
the
Flapjack
eyes.
in general. Like that was the thing about Flapjack.
Flapjack.
Like his
Flapjack was
eyes
like
were like,
lesser to it though.
dude looked like he
Flapjack wasn't
never
as
slept
blatant.
and like he was always high, like on meth.
I mean,
Yeah,
say what
he
you
Dude looked
looked.
want,
He
unhealthy as
did look
hell.
very sickly.
but I'm
I
kind of
remember
scared
I
of the
actually
candy
watched a
girl in
couple episodes
Flapjack.
when I was younger yeah. Think about that too. This dude is obsessed with a candy girl that he thinks is his wife. Think about the undertones of that.
The man actually
Basically
has
a
a
sex
mental
doll
disorder.
that's made of candy. I mean, it's his wife. He does wife
Let's
things with
talk
it.
about how it has curves to all hell too. It's not even normal
Yeah.
candy, it's curvy candy. The man's wife
And
is
everybody on the
curvier than
channel
most
eats
girls in my
candy.
school. And it's candy!
God.
Everybody in the town eats
It's
candy.
outlandish. There's just a lot of disturbing imagery in it, just in general.
You know what? Chowder
Remember that
wasn't nearly
West
as
episode
weird.
or West episode? Powder was actually really like kid friendly. Like it wasn't really anything really bad in it.
I mean, the worst thing you could expect out of Chowder was like a butt joke.
Yeah, and then even to its end where he grew up, it still stayed pretty kid friendly. You just see him; he's an adult now. I think he
Yeah.
had kids, but I mean, he just
Yeah, he had a
had
lot
kids.
of kids.
Right? There's nothing wrong with that, you know. Like that's kind of regular cartoon.
They don't even explain
time
it, they just
skip.
say he got kids.
Yeah, even till its end, it never like got crazy, and it was successful. These other shows, however, really go out there.
Fucking new Powerpuff
Really
Girls,
went out
first
there.
episode, they're already twerking. They're just little girls.
Yeah, I think they've always
You
done
can't
though.
tell me that's not no.
I'm pretty sure they've always done that. Like that's been a thing they've
Twerk?
kind of done. Well, that wouldn't
Maybe a little
necessarily
jig.
twerk,
No,
but,
not like
but
not like
yeah,
shake your
not
booty
like
kind of
that.
stuff. Like straight up
Yeah,
twerking.
they straight up.
Yeah,
straight up
they-
twerking.
that's like kind of the thing they've done though, right? Like,
There was the like
Nah,
shake your
maybe like
booty
a little
jokes, but that was
victory
different.
dance.
That was
yeah,
a
that's
little
what I
different.
mean.
You never
Like,
actually
I'm
see
pretty
them
sure they're
straight up
kind of for
shaking
that.
their cheeks though.
Yeah. That one's new.
That's another. That's new and alarming.
Because
Imagine
I mean,
walking
I can
into
tell
your
you
kid-
why.
Like imagine walking into your daughter watching Powerpuff Girls or something like that, and they're twerking on screen.
Let's talk about the time
I
in
mean,
Teen
You're like,
Titans
what
I
the
Go.
can't
hell
really tell you
Robin
why, though.
literally was tongue wrestling.
I mean, it's obviously to cater to the like what's hot and what's in mainstream and all that good stuff.
Literally tongue
I
wrestling.
mean, the real reason is because, say, they're a little. I mean, people who probably made that, new Powerpuff Girls probably watched it as a kid and like, hey, I thought these bitches were hot when I was 7. You know?
Let's just have him
Ew.
twerk while on LSD.
Even worse. It's even worse to think about. I see.
Putting it in that,
Why?
I mean, putting it
That makes it
in
even
context,
worse.
it does make some sense.
I mean, yeah, that makes sense, but
That doesn't
that's
explain the
that's what,
LSD
like
trip.
weird. That's like for weird forums, like what is it, Rule 42 or something
4chan.
like that. Like
Rule
yeah, that's for
34,
places
you know?
like that. Yeah. That's for places like that. That's a kids show.
Not that
The
I would know.
supervisors and stuff like that are supposed to tell you. That's not. No, you can't really do that, bud. Like go back to the drawing board. Not supposed to just like let it fly and just let it happen. You know what I mean? Like that's their job. They know it's gonna go on air. They know a bunch of like hundreds of millions of kids are gonna see it. I'm gonna watch it. They're supposed to make sure stuff like that doesn't get through. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even the jokes to the adults are as
A
subtle as
little bit.
possible. Not as subtle as possible, but they're out there so that a kid won't
I think
obviously be
I
able
do
to piece
think
together
kid
what it
cartoons
is.
are a lot more strict now with that kind of stuff. Cause
I mean, the
I don't
older
remember
ones
my
weren't.
dad's house. I mean, now at least, like shows coming out
Yeah,
now.
exactly. That's why.
Like this
'Cause the
show
older ones were so
Miraculous,
not
for example. I don't know if any of you have
strict.
seen that or not.
What show?
Miraculous.
No, I didn't even know of its existence.
Let's talk
I'm trying to
about.
think of what exactly it is.
Nickelodeon and Disney have actually completely lost me on their cartoons. Like I only kind of keep up with the Cartoon Network ones. Every time I
Basically,
look at their stuff, it's just cringy, and I'm like,
it's
I
really
don't,
just
I don't
some
actually want to watch
cheesy fucking superhero show. Silly all
Okay.
it is.
You know, I
No,
remember
the
back
only
in like
any
2000.
kind of sexual relation is just the two people with like miraculouses, which allows them to transform into a superhero, kind of
Yeah.
like Batman type deal, but it's
Yeah.
actually a superpower. They just have like a, like one on one side of a crush. You know what I mean? Like one has a crush while they're both superheroes. One has a crush when they're both in school. That's it. Nothing actually goes on. And trust me, I watched both seasons because she's a kid and wants to watch the same thing over and over again.
Mhm.
That's
Kinda
just one
seems like
example.
I wanna
the
bring a
end,
point.
but I mean, it's not
Hold
for
up.
us, so it's supposed to.
I mean, actually, it was kind
What?
of entertaining. I'm not gonna lie.
Now I know this is gonna get controversial, and I'm probably gonna get some hate for what I say, but back in 2006 and stuff like that, when like SpongeBob and all that was becoming big when I was a kid, you know, I mean there were some sexual innuendos, but there's a little bit kissy making out, but we would have never seen shit like
That
the
was the
stuff
big
that
thing
goes
then.
on.
Yeah.
The stuff that goes on in like Crystal Gems, that shit would never happen 10 years ago.
Oh no.
Like,
There's a
say
lot,
what
like
you
the whole
want.
big
I
thing
don't
back
care
then
who you
was
are.
kissing and making out. Like Codename Kids Next Door actually had a whole episode where it was like this girl was infected with like the cootie virus or
Yeah.
some BS like that, and like the other
Trying to
people she
smooch
kissed
everybody.
actually got infected with it. Yeah, it was like
Damn.
that episode was like pretty funny though.
Kids Next Door was lit, but no.
It was.
Hold.
Lit. I don't know why it got canceled.
There are
Sad.
people
Sad.
who say that the Crystal Gems are not lesbian.
However, since the beginning of the show, they have been portrayed as obvious females. I can understand if they actually like didn't have any discernible features or anything like that. Like couldn't really tell if they were a boy or a girl. They're just a person. That would totally fly, and actually would probably even work better for what they're trying to push. Correct me if I'm wrong. Like that seems like more of what they would try to go for anyway. To make characters that don't seem like a man or a female that like have love interests. 'Cause that kind of goes for the whole trans
Let's
people or
be real.
whatever, right? That seems like it would appeal to them, right? More than a obviously female-looking character having a love interest with another female-looking character. They didn't even try with whatever her name is, the black chick with the big fists.
Yeah, they didn't try being
I'm
subtle.
pretty sure
It's
both of her halves are just legitimate, just chicks.
No, I want to point this out. The way the gems work is they basically have sex infused together to make a whole new being. They are making children when you think about it like that. They're fusing each other's
the fusion of the
collective
children, of the
identity
child.
to make a new being altogether.
It's like heredity and all that good stuff.
That is
They get
lesbian
traits
sex
from
if
both of
lesbian
them.
sex can produce children.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of
And,
the whole idea to it.
and it really does confound, like, it really does just confuse me. When people try saying, this isn't gay, this is definitely 100% okay for kids. You know, because those
The
young
thing
little
I have, the
kids need to
problem I
learn
have
about
with
their
that,
sexuality, right? Right?
the problem I have with that is I can understand getting awareness, making it more okay in the world and all that. Obviously, people are like crazy, like they don't like to think about that type of stuff, and it causes murders and riots and all that. There needs to be more awareness. Yeah, yeah. The only thing I say is to keep the kids out of it until they're old
Yeah.
enough to gain their own opinion. Like that whole thing in whatever country it was, I forget now because it was a little while ago when I read about it. That whole thing
But
where they're
describe it.
raising children to be genderless.
Probably Australia.
I have
That's
no clue.
that's
Oh
just
yeah.
like
Speaking
I get you can
Australia,
raise your child how you want your child to be raised.
in
So in that
Australia,
aspect, it's up to
hold up.
it's up to the parent.
In Australia, there's a
But
ban going on to stop
leave the
recruiting
kids
It
out
men.
of it.
shouldn't be up to the government.
Yeah, government
Leave the
should have
kids out
nothing
of
to
it.
do with personality
The
or
Aus-
relationships, I think.
Julio, welcome to a casual racism podcast.
I don't think you should raise your
Thank you.
child to be genderless. I think you should like if you really want to let your child be free, let them decide. If your child grows up
Exactly.
and they seem gay or something like that, don't push them towards it. It might just be a phase or whatever. Like they
Yeah.
might be gay, they might not be gay. Just let them work it out. Let it happen.
Don't be
push them
like
towards anything.
don't be like the parents in Logic's fucking
I mean,
music video where they instantly exiled him.
I
from
can
their
feel
home.
it for parents if they
And
are a
don't be like
little bit
those
disappointed
parents
that
that I
their
was
kids are
watching, those
gay,
two
but
females, where they raise their little boys to where the whole thing that the problem that I had with that as well is it seems to be more geared towards the women as well.
yeah.
Like the men don't seem to care about not care about it, but they don't seem to push as hard as the women do for it. And during the whole video, all you would see, like the only actual reoccurring theme that you would see of the whole genderless thing is the boys would wear dresses or makeup or like the boys were
That
basically
literally implies gender.
changing over to female things. They even
Uh,
had like
I feel
workbooks
like
and coloring books and
clothes
stuff
should
like
just be
that
clothes.
where like Superman and Batman and stuff like that were wearing ballerina costumes and dresses and such that they had manufactured
like it's
specifically
forced,
for
though.
the children to
yeah.
see it.
It is.
It seems like
That's
it
the
is
point.
forced, and I'm pretty sure it
Crazy
was
forced.
forced.
They're trying to do
They
it to
say
Maybe
you
the
promote
know
kid
they're
just
gender
using
equality
wants
or
a pair
something
of
like that.
jeans
I don't
or
know.
basketball shorts.
they're using
But
a
the parents
whole
are just
life.
like, no, you have to wear a dress.
They're
It's
wearing
genderless.
they're wasting a life in order to push an agenda. That's not okay. At that point,
Yeah, I
you're
mean,
really as bad as the people who shun you and don't like you and all that. You're ruining this child's life. This child will never have a regular life. Like they'll
damn, I
never
just
actually
got
get
here,
to
but
make
like,
any
this is already
decisions.
deep. I like it.
It's the podcast, bro.
I mean,
Like they'll never actually be able to make the decisions that they'll want to make because they'll be forever messed up in the head because of the bullshit that you raised them on.
there are
You
some.
didn't let them get
Freedom
a
is
chance
really
to decide.
going here.
I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, now I remember. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure Crystal Gems has probably made a couple kids gay before they even have a chance to make a decision.
Crystal
Probably
gems.
heighten their awareness of said option, and maybe they've considered it. I wouldn't say it full on makes them gay. It's kind of a bold claim.
It's probably made a.
But
Let's be
given the
real.
moldability of child minds, and people maybe already having that like those thoughts of I mean I don't really know boys girls like when you're really young you don't really know,
Yeah.
Yeah, I
so
don't
that could
really agree with the
kind of
idea that people are
position you
born gay or whatever
for
or straight. I feel like it's
it's
developed.
kind of like
I mean,
the things that like the processes or the
I th-
events that you go through in life
I
gear
think
you
there's too many
towards it.
variables.
I think people
there
like
is too many
choosing
variables.
whatever's more
There's too
convenient for
much
them.
affects it.
Because then there's even people who've been
There's
gay
your
for a very
parents.
long time
There's
who just
there's
stop being
distant
gay.
relatives.
People at
There's a whole
school,
bunch. There's so
other
many
people in relationships.
internal and
Obviously,
external variables, if you know what I mean.
a
Yeah.
kid down in the South, right? He's obvious, like deep South Bible Belt's obviously less likely to be gay than say a
Because he's
liberal arts
scared to be
student
gay, and
in
then
San
he sees
Diego.
gay people as
Exactly.
like evil.
I think
So
that
living 30,
That could probably
40 years
affect
ago
him
could be hell if
being
you were
himself.
gay in any way.
I think
Yeah.
that the big problem is people like choosing what options more convenient. Oh, he's born that way, or oh, it's a multitude of various factors. People like choosing whatever most convenient to their argument at the moment, and then cherry pick it.
Another
Yeah,
thing
I don't
is
like the
they're kind of
fact.
afraid because when you cherry pick and say, "Oh, he's born that way" and all that, it avoids the possibility that he wasn't born that way. One, or she wasn't born that way. One, and the reason that they're like that is because of life experiences and stuff like that. Like they transitioned to that and they felt more comfortable with that at that certain point in their lives,
Yeah,
and that scares people
that's
because
people need
they're
to
like, "Well,
experiment.
holy
You
shit!
know?
If that could happen to him, that could happen to me," and they don't want to. They don't want that to happen because, as you know, people don't like change. And telling a man or a woman who've been straight their whole life that there is a possibility that one day
They'll be
they
gay.
could possibly have an attraction towards their own same sex or whatever, like it is a possibility that could happen. Telling them that it goes against everything that they like stand for basically, and just saying he was born that way voids that possibility. Because
Yeah.
then you just say, oh well, it's not gonna happen to me. I wasn't born that way.
I mean, me for example, I find it highly unlikely that I will find a man that I will like.
Exactly. I say all the
Yeah,
time
same
in a
here.
joking manner that
I
I'd
don't know
never
about
be
that.
gay. I mean
I've
it.
dated a dude.
I don't ever actually really see myself being gay. Like I just that doesn't seem like something that would ever appeal to me in any way.
Yeah, I was kind of
I just
raised
don't see it.
like a man has to be like this, like
Let's
by my
talk about
dad.
those
Exactly.
dirty those
But
cis
then I don't really
straight
care.
white males. You know?
Yeah,
'Cause, like,
screw people for agreeing with their
I
born
have
gender.
lived in a house of women for about half of my life, and I don't do
Yep.
really any inside chores. All I do is outside stuff. You know, like a men's job and like
Wait a second,
doing
Shadow.
dishes and
I
a.
mean,
Did you say
I
a
mean,
man's
I
that's I
job?
don't
mean,
care who does what job.
cause I
Did you
live
say a
with my grandmother.
man's
You know,
job?
she's like 70 years old,
That's
so she's from a
sexist,
different
Shadow.
time.
That's sexist.
Can you stop?
Keep
I
it
mean,
I'll
at
going.
sit
that
there with
point,
that. I mean, I do
I
accept it.
see
I
what
mean,
the
that's
joke you're trying to
kind
make.
of tradition.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
live with a 70-year-old person. And she's from a much different time, but that was true.
That actually was a man's
And
job.
still kind of is true. I mean, how many women do you see mowing
mean-
their lawns?
Not many.
You really don't.
The thing is,
Exactly.
They
they
usually,
can.
like my
Now
mom
we live
tells
in a
me to
world
go
where it's
and
like
do
They
it.
I
can,
can
but
do this, so why
but
not?
usually men decide to take up the job anyway.
Yeah,
The whole
because
thing
you know,
isn't that they're
men
told
kind of
that
the
they
naturally
thing.
can't
grow
do
more
it.
muscle.
The whole thing isn't
So
really even that they're told that they can't do it or anything like that. It's just that men have been doing it for
it's
so long,
easier.
or they've been having men do it for so long.
They'll
And because,
naturally,
you know,
they'll
They
just
don't even
have
do. They
better
don't even
skills
like
at it.
have an inclination
And,
to
you
do
know,
it. Not even that. They just don't.
that
They don't have an
whole
inclination to do
premise
it.
goes vice versa. Because, you
It
know,
does.
women like do laundry or dishes or something, while he's outside mowing the lawn or cleaning gutters or something.
And now you're feeling some type of way like, oh, you never makes me clean the gutters. I always have to sit in here and wash the clothes and do a woman's
And
job.
then you
Yeah,
realize,
But
it's,
then
like,
it's
if
oh
always
it's
been
damn,
flip,
easier
I don't
that
want
way,
to do
though.
this.
Just
it's
because of the
flip
way
when you
that
go to
men
do it.
grow, and
You're
then
Yeah.
like,
people
oh
decide
damn,
to put it into
cleaning
like
the
a
gutters isn't
personality kind of
actually as
way.
Sure.
glamorous and woman uplifting and liberating as I thought it would be.
Because
He's dead ass
every day
cleaning some
I
gutters.
would rather mow the lawn than do some fucking dishes.
I would, and I also have no problem washing clothes. Like if it's not offered for the clothes to get
Yeah.
washed for me, I'll go and wash them myself. It's not even a hard task. I mean, yeah, it's different for us now because we have the pods. We can just toss them in there. Not really much hassle.
I think the
But
other problem
even
is,
if it wasn't, I wouldn't have any problem washing my clothes. There's really no sweat
I
off my
wouldn't
back.
either.
I wouldn't have any problems washing the dishes. We're all gonna eat off of them. I wouldn't have any problems cooking food. We're all gonna eat.
But
Then
that's
you
also
make it a
why
problem, it
I'm
becomes a
never
problem.
asked to do those chores because I'm the only person who does outside chores in my entire house. Out of the 4 people
Exactly.
who live with me, or 3 other people.
Last
I'm sorry.
time I mowed the lawn, I asked my sister to help me with it because if not, it would have been an hour job. Like I would have mowed the backyard, the front yard, and I would have taken the weed whacker and did the edges and all that. I really wasn't feeling up for it that day. Like I'm the one who does it. I don't feel like doing it all the time. It would be nice if I had a little bit of help. I didn't ask her to take the lawnmower and go mow the grass. I asked her to take the weed whacker and just mess with the edges so that I could just mow the grass and I'd be done. I wouldn't have to do the edges work. She struggled, you know. She said her arms hurt a little bit after it.
Probably like first or second time doing it.
Exactly. She
It's
didn't do
it
that
is
good of a
pretty
job,
tiring, to
but
be
it
honest,
was
holding
less
the weed
work
whacker up.
on me. It is less work on me. You know, like at the end of the day, it did benefit me. It did get done. Grass is looking nice. Great. I never told her, no, you can never help me do the grass. This is my job or anything like that. And she was, well, she wasn't as enthusiastic because it was kind of hot out, but she didn't say no because she said, I kind of feel bad. You're like the one who does the grass. It's a lot to do by yourself. Usually out there for an hour. And it was really hot. It was before it started getting cold, like dead of summer. Summer weather's still going out.
Yeah.
But it's always been that certain way, like the men outside or whatever, because the
Yeah.
whole hunter-gatherer thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
around.
It's
And then it's not even really
just-
like you're saying the women are weak. You
I mean,
kind of just want to protect.
It's not
You don't want them to
because
get
they're
harmed.
women they have to work outside
Yeah.
or they have to work inside. It's
It's
because
just
it's easier.
a
It's also
natural
like that.
human
Like, you
instinct.
want to protect the woman because first off, they carry the children, they take care of the children, all that good stuff. You go out and risk your life. If anything, that's a compliment more than it is offensive. You're looking out more for their well-being.
It's
than you
just
are
less
for
work on
yours.
them. Why would you?
Like you're
We
looking
also
out more
talk
for
about-
you're looking out more
We
for
also talk
them
about like
Someone
the
who
wage
likes
for
gap
you,
thing.
The what?
because you're sitting here.
The wage gap
like,
thing.
Oh,
wage
wage gap.
gap.
Oh,
I mean,
wage gap.
that's
This is gonna get
actually-
This
interesting.
reminds me of wage gap stuff.
I feel like
that
this will be
actually
interesting.
that's an issue.
Debate. Okay.
Yes.
There's
but
no really, I don't really see a debate there. If there's an obvious wage gap, then fix it.
I think people fail to
I mean,
recognize
yeah,
the
it's
various the
illegal.
variables in the wage gap. It's
Yeah.
not just like, oh, women are being
Yeah.
paid less for no
If they're
reason.
doing the same job, they're
Like,
doing the same job.
Even if you're doing the
and
same
there
Because it's
actually
job,
is no
illegal, right?
valid
It is,
reason-
like-
if there's
it's
there's
like
no valid reason for them to get less
literally a
money than
handful
the
of
man
cents,
doing the
isn't
same
it?
job.
it's maybe
Then
a
that's
still-
$3,
that's still a amount, that's still a difference.
couple dollars.
Okay,
I
if
think
you
you
go
gotta
to
remember
McDonald's,
that
something like
employers.
that can make
Yeah.
the difference. If you're working at McDonald's or like a Target or Walmart or something like that, that can make the difference of if you pay your rent on time or not.
I mean,
That
here's
is
the
also
thing
Not
about the
making enough
wage
money as
gap.
it
It
is.
mostly applies to the higher level jobs, not, say McDonald's or Walmart.
Yeah, because
And then
retail. I
there,
mean,
and when you get there,
I'm pretty
So,
sure
I mean,
retail
is
is like
there a
50%
wage gap or
career,
not?
so that kind of hurts you in the
That's-
long run.
Yeah,
Like,
retail
you're working
and
towards the goal.
servers, that's probably a few cents. Actually, servers, women probably get paid more than men because, obviously it's just women are more likely to get tipped.
That's true.
When it comes to tips, that's a different thing.
Yeah.
That's
I mean,
other people's opinion on you.
of course there are male waiters, but
Yeah.
how often do you actually see a waiter?
It's
It's just
like
some-
How often do you think I'm gonna go tip this male waiter?
Yeah.
I mean, you should.
Oh,
Even
yeah,
going
you
out,
should. You
have
always should
ever-
tip.
Have you ever actually looked at a male waiter and say, "Huh, I'm gonna tip that guy," or have you ever actually looked at a female waiter and say, "Huh, kind of deserves a tip"? What's more? What has actually ran through your head?
How
I
they
mean,
look.
if the dude
than the
serving
other.
me, obviously.
Yeah.
The dude gave me my food and
I
all that good
myself may
shit.
say, I mean, I'm not too big on the whole idea of. I'm not gonna say I'm not big on the idea of tips. That's how they make their money, but I've never been one to be like, oh, I'm gonna leave some money behind for him. I'm never the one who actually does the tipping. But
That also
the
comes with-
idea,
I usually just go by
doesn't
like
really,
if
like-
they're
I don't
fast food or
imagine
not.
I
you
do the
pay
10% rule
for,
regardless.
restaurants very much. So
I mean, yeah, like even when I do go out, like it just doesn't cross my mind to tip. Like that's not on my mind. I understand the necessity for it. Like I'm not saying they shouldn't get tips. They should. That's how they're getting money. Power to that.
I think
know,
that on a
I
wage
would
gap,
want them
though.
to continue serving me. I want them to be able to pay off their shit. Like I want them to live comfortably.
I think on a wage.
They're working. They deserve it.
Go on here.
I think on a wage gap that when you get to the higher echelon jobs, right? Say management, upper management, all that. It kind of makes sense if women are paid a little bit less because think about it. They end up in some countries, a lot of countries, you have things like maternity leave, paid maternity leave. A man can't get knocked up like that, and a lot of countries don't have paternity leave instead.
that's
So-
also true.
Think about it.
That's true.
If you live in a state that has pensions or maternity leave, then why would you just end up spending more money based on their gender, and they don't even work for you. You lose a lot of money from it.
If they
And I'm
made
not
the same
saying-
as a man at that point with the maternity and paternity leave and all that good stuff, it's like they're getting paid for doing
Yeah.
less work than the guy, and that's kind of unfair at the end of the day.
And here's
Yeah.
the worst part: they're not even making the company money. They're just not there and they're getting money from them. So I mean,
Exactly.
you gotta think about it.
True, they're not there for a good reason.
Yeah,
But
They get exploited a
they're
lot.
not there
They get
for a good
exploited as
reason.
well.
But I don't think that
Also a fact.
I think that when you take into consideration of just the very biology of human woman, as in they can get pregnant, from economic
They're very
standpoints,
hormonal. They're
it's
very
a big
hormonal. Like
yeah.
that's not a thing saying women are sensitive. Blah blah blah. It's actually scientifically proven. They have a lot of hormones running through them. That's why they're
Isn't the
more
wage gap
sensitive
illegal
than
though?
guys.
Mm,
Yeah.
No.
I think it
discrimination
is.
is illegal, but the
The
wage
discriminative,
gap
the
isn't
discriminative
illegal.
error, like part of it is illegal.
I mean, yeah, I understand if someone's pregnant, they can't really work much, you know.
Yeah, you can't get fired
That's
while
just
if you're
common
on like
courtesy.
medical pain or like medical leave or fraternity leave.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Like you cannot get removed from your sir your occupation if you're on like medical leave, or if you have cancer and you're in the hospital for 3 months, you can't get fired.
It's not really your fault. You didn't do anything wrong. You're
Yeah,
not
like it's
leaving on
you
purpose.
literally
Like,
are not allowed to get fired.
That's good.
I mean, that makes
But
sense. What are you fired them
it's
for? Not
happened
coming into
before,
work? They
and
have cancer.
people have been fired, and that there was hell to pay.
Mm-hmm.
I think also should be considered that women are more likely to switch between jobs, you know? Because in the
Yeah.
US culture, especially men, we're taught to take a lot of pride in our jobs. What we do is,
And to
you know,
hold it down,
yeah, we gotta
make it
hold it,
into
we
a
gotta keep it. It's our
career.
pride. Women, not so much. So employers
I
can
don't think
also
that's a good
expect
thing
women to
though.
change jobs more
I don't like the
often.
No.
whole men have to hide their feelings.
It doesn't work out
Yeah,
well
oh, you have to deal with it because you're
at
a
all.
man. I don't know if I like that.
It doesn't pan out well in the long run.
First, you're free to deal with it. You know, do what you want.
You say that, but when you've been
If you
raised
want to
like
be
that,
I mean,
it's hard to cut. It's hard to go against the
true.
green unless you already were like against it when you were getting raised that way. It's hard to go against the green of something that you've been raised up on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless you straight up when you were a kid didn't agree with what your parents were like, whatever they were saying, you didn't agree with. Unless you straight up just didn't feel that and already had it in your mind that that's not what you were about, and you just like accepted it and did it. And by the time you're older and actually have the chance to do whatever you want and have your own opinions, kind of doesn't even matter anymore because subconsciously you've already accepted the BS that they fed you. So there's nothing left. There's no fight left in you.
I don't think that's a good thing.
And next thing you know, it's not what your parents taught you. It's just what you believe. And now you're teaching your kids that. And the custom never
Be
really
told a lie
breaks.
enough times, you'll believe it as the truth.
That's the most
Exactly.
dangerous lie.
There are plenty of lies we were told. And, you know, you can look up very like, common lies, and it's like, holy shit.
I
It's
think
like,
people
wow,
we
I've
need to
been
talk
thinking this all my
about
life.
let's talk about lying in
Apparently,
general.
cracking your fingers isn't bad for you.
That's not even a lie. That's been known for many
No,
years.
apparently it's not true though.
I mean,
Doesn't
there's no real
cause-
downside to doing it all, actually.
It just makes you more flexible.
It releases the gas
There's no-
between your cartilage, synovial fluid.
People will say they're cracking the joints, like finger joints, which I do. I say that's bad.
I've
man. I
heard
looked it
many
up
times
for
before.
multiple- It's not at all.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah,
many times
that's-
before 'cause I
Cracking
do it a lot.
cracking anything is completely harmless.
The
I do
body
it
It just
cracks
makes you, like,
naturally.
feel
Like,
better.
You've gone to school with
really.
me. You know I do it a whole lot.
Yeah, I do it too. You see me like cracking my fingers like 20 times over.
Exactly. We do it a lot. I remember I was growing up and I got told you do
Some
that
people used to say that
for
with
too
like,
long or whatever.
give you
Your knuckles will,
arthritis or
like when you
something.
get older, your knuckles will they get arthritis or your knuckles will grow up and be all big and ugly or something like that.
Have you
I
guys
remember
ever
like actually being told that.
like gotten bear hugged so hard that your back cracked, right? Like you just all the
Yeah.
popping and suddenly your
Yeah.
back feels so much better.
Exactly, because like
I don't know why.
right now I've
I
been
mean,
sitting in the
whatever
chair
Hugh
for
said,
like
getting the gas out of
7
your cartilage or
hours
whatever.
maybe.
I
Jeez.
can do that whole
Nah, I wouldn't say that
cracking
much,
thing
but-
with a lot of my I can do it with my arms, my legs. Like I just have I have a
Oh,
lot
I
of
crack my neck all the time.
yeah, I
A
have
lot
the
of people
weight.
hate it.
I can
But
do
maybe
it a
that's the
lot.
thing.
I have
Yeah.
a lot of different
Maybe people
body
made up that
parts.
lie
I like to
because
mess
they
with my
hated
sister
the
about it.
noise or something.
I'm perfectly fine.
Yeah, a lot of people like my 6th grade teacher had a pet peeve about it.
Oh, actually, let's talk
So
about
good at getting
Antifa.
over
You
them.
know, those
really,
people
really
punching
crazy
people.
about it.
The Antifa?
Yeah.
Who are you joining, by the way?
Hold
You
on,
guys
I'm gonna
keep the
do
conversation going.
turn
I'm
in
gonna
something.
go.
Alright,
I'm gonna go
I'm
take
at
a
the
shower
tower
real
real
quick.
quick.
Antifa. They're the ones, what are they about again?
Who are they?
They're
I've
saying
never
they're
heard of them.
anti-fascist America. You know, the people
I never
punching
actually
people in California.
sat down and understood what fascism is. What is it exactly?
Fascism
Yeah,
is
I'm
basically a
confused.
strong state with strong military. Nazi
Is
Germany,
that a good thing?
or
Italy and
yeah, Italy, that
all
kind of
that.
stuff. You know,
Alright.
they're normally big military, strong governments.
I was never exactly clear on what fascism is.
They're like
Uh,
enforcing things a lot more tough, or like
But
just strong
basically,
governments
just
and a
imagine
focus on
Nazi Germany
military.
and
Yeah.
Italy with Mussolini and all that.
guessing not a good thing.
Usually fascist governments show up when
Not
people are
exactly.
oppressed enough.
Not saying that all fascist governments commence a ridiculous ethnic cleansing, but it
They
usually probably will not bode well.
they usually tend to have something against some race.
If it's just like like you want a strong military, I mean that's
Strong
cool and all,
military,
but
strong leader, strong government, that kind of stuff.
I feel like
Basically,
that's
just
cool.
dictatorship.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
the
not
dictatorship, no,
communist.
but like
That basically is what dictatorship is.
It's
And
basically a
kind
capitalist dictatorship. Think of it like that.
okay.
That is a lot of stuff on Postmaster.
But they're basically anti that, and their whole they really showed up after Trump got elected because of the conservative backlash. And they're over in Berkeley right now. They're just punching random people for being capitalist pig dogs, or you know, having the American
What?
flags.
Dogs. Capitalist pig dogs.
There's actually
Oh,
like
man.
videos of Antifa members like taking down this guy's little flag and then burning it. They grabbed the flag from him and then lit it on fire.
Now, that's just being a dick.
Yeah, right?
And
And
like
show
there's
what
just
you want
there's a
to
lot of
happen.
videos of Antifa
like-
men just punching people out of nowhere. For
Have a
like
sign
That's
or
just-
something. Isn't that easier?
That's just assault.
imagine like your
Yeah, it's true.
stereotypical anti like the kind of person that goes like you cis white gendered male, right? Imagine those people if they were violent. They're violent vegans, to put it at the best terms. Vegan ISIS. How about that? Vegan ISIS. They're actually considered a terrorist group or a gang, one of the two.
Jeez. Alright then. People get
Vegan
extreme.
ISIS. Their whole point, they didn't want Trump to be president, but they were too
Of
lazy to go
course.
to the
Yeah, everything
frickin' voting
tails back
polls.
to that. To be honest.
You see,
Hurricane Irma? That was Trump.
Trump's fault.
Not those things.
Trump pulled us out of the Paris climate deal, and like the global warming got
I'm
so
pretty sure these
bad
people
that
actually think
hurricanes
that.
happened.
Most likely.
There's people that blame anything for that. Or like the whole thanks Obama thing.
Yeah, it's basically like,
Yeah, that
fuck
was
you,
just a meme.
Trump.
Tyler wants an invite.
President, nah, we're trying to do a podcast.
Nah.
Alright, I'll tell him we're doing a podcast then. Unless he wants to do the raid.
We can do that tomorrow. But it's too late. We're kind of tired.
Then you gotta,
At least I'm kind of tired.
I mean, at some point you gotta feel bad for Trump. He gets a lot more hate than he really deserves.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not gonna call myself a Trump fan or anything. But like, give the man a chance.
Right.
He didn't do anything yet.
There are definitely worse people we could have as a president.
You can't get angry at him for being democratically elected.
The only thing I don't want is
Yeah.
Pence. I'm not a fan of Pence. That's the...
Pence was basically how he won, though, because that's how he got all the hardliner Republicans.
But I don't like the man.
No.
I have so
what
many
about the whole,
legendary shards.
Whole North Korea will face our fire and fury. I kind of agree
Well,
with that.
I'll tell you what, though. Hillary's in denial about losing.
Really?
She wrote that book,
I haven't
What
really heard
Happened,
anything
and
of it.
basically she blamed political outsiders, Bernie Sanders, just, the Russians. She blamed the Russians.
Why did she have to whine about it?
I mean, you had the chance of presidency.
I mean,
You
yeah, but
lost.
You could have won the popular
Sucks.
votes if you didn't pull off, let's disappear for the last few weeks and not campaign
like,
at all.
yo, let's. I have to write a book about this because it's not just because
Bernie
I don't know,
Sanders, he
more people
disrupted
voted
the
for
whole
him.
thing,
No.
ruined it, obviously. Let's be real,
Okay.
Bernie probably would have had a better chance than Hillary.
Sorry. Yeah, no, I heard a lot of people more wanting Bernie Sanders.
The thing about the
Well,
Democratic
people, yeah,
primaries
I'm gonna
talk
do a
about stuff.
meditation mission.
for the Democrats, right?
I'll do it.
Uh,
Oh.
during
the
the
stick.
primaries, right, when they were choosing who would be candidate for the parties and stuff, there's literally an email, and it was like Hillary was supposed to
I'm
win
just doing it
regardless.
alone, actually.
I want to do it. I want to do it.
Oh well. Well, everybody, that's been a lovely episode of Casual Racism Podcast. See you
That was
next
pretty good.
time.
I
My
like
name is
talking like
Hugh
this.
D. Miller, and I am signing out.